Hello to my earth signs Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. We are entering eclipse season, the time of the year where the dragon eats the sun. You'll find the timestamps for your rising sign listed below. Hello Capricorn, welcome to eclipse season. This is your horoscope for the hybrid solar eclipse in Aries happening on the 20th of April at 2:16 p.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me. So we've got to take a journey with the dragon. We've got to have a conversation with the dragon and try and find a bridge between what the dragon was saying and what it was trying to tell us, and bring it in to its next chapter. You can see I've drawn a little dragon head here in Taurus. At 4 degrees of Taurus sits the north lunar node, and in direct opposition to that is the dragon's tail at 4 degrees of Scorpio. And so this is the point of interception. The moon gets in the way of the Earth's trip around the sun and blocks out the sun for a time, forming a solar eclipse. The Earth's shadow is cast over a full moon and causes a lunar eclipse. In the ancient times, there was a lot of fear around eclipse season because folks thought that a dragon was eating the sun, eating the life force. And so there was a lot of worry about life continuing. It doesn't last for very long, it's just for a few hours. In astrology, the dragon's head points to an area of insatiability, somewhere that has a jolt, an extra emphasis, out of our control, but there's a major focus to that point in life. A month ago, when the sun and the moon were at 0 degrees of Aries, we had a big old chat about your fourth house, about your root system, your ancestry, your sense of belonging, your safety. And I asked for you to imagine what you wanted to happen in that area of life for you, and to hold on to that wish and to bring it forward and to have it materialize. There's an eclipse happening in Aries because the sun and the moon are at 29 degrees of the sign. So it's not often that there's 3 lunations in one sign in one period, but it's happening and it's in a very close conjunction with this dragon's head. So there will be a hybrid solar eclipse. There's going to be an influx, I imagine, of information or of change or of results when it comes to your home life, Capricorn, when it comes to your sense of privacy and safety and belonging. This may be conversations with your ancestors, with your family. There may be things coming to light that can bring you back into a sense of peace with yourself on that lineage. Or there might be an extra point of break in that house for you. There might be bonds that have been severed. There may have been something coming up that has you setting yourself free, perhaps from some feeling of ancestral trauma or ancestral vows. You can maybe set yourself free from a story from the past. There are many different stories that we carry in our body, from our lineage, from the way that we were raised, and from the pain and trauma of our ancestors. I might say that this dragon is eating up some of those stories. I want you to remember Chiron and Jupiter So for this month, as trying as it's been, and as difficult as it's been to face up to, remember the Three of Swords over here in Libra that we faced 2 weeks ago. But I feel that this eclipse is sort of, it's like the time starts now. I remember a month ago I was so optimistic and feeling ready for it and the possibilities of what could maybe show up at this time in our lives. And I still feel that way. And I think that at this eclipse we're going to get a real hint and message about your fourth house, about your right to privacy, your right to a happy home. There may be things that need to shed from that space. There may be things that need to be sort of let go of. There may be things that arrive for you. But whatever it is, it's for a purpose. And it's something that you can understand and be encouraged that it's kind of out of your hands, but you're being guided into the right area. You're being guided into the right path by this eclipse. We can't fear the dragon. We can understand why things need to shed when they do. So the dragon is here in Scorpio and Taurus. So for the last 18 months or so, we've been dealing with this friction, this push and pull between a sense of community and a sense of self-expression, right? And so those lessons are being brought into your 4th and your 10th. So there's something that we can bridge here between your career, your vocation, your legacy, what you're doing it for in the first place, and between a sense of belonging as well. And I wonder if it's a sense of belonging that is left unvoiced at this moment. I wonder if there's maybe language that you can put to this. You can tell people in your environment that you need them. There's a lot of language in the New Age philosophy about sort of being self-reliant and inwardly gazing. For whatever reason, I'm thinking of Joanna Lumley right now, and I really love her. She said some very funny things over the years, and I adore her for her honesty. There was something that she was talking about the culture, about everyone turning inward, and the reason that she's so vibrant, apart from being incredibly rich and from very old money, let's face it, there's the privilege, but also is because she's outwardly gazing. She receives life. She looks ahead and forward and outward. And at times of struggle, like humanity is going through right now, we tend to go inward. And I think the culture of just quite literally screens, if they're computer screens or phone screens, whatever, it's a virtual reality that we're sort of sucked into, and it can be full of horror. It can also be full of delusion as well. So I think cast your gaze outward and cast your voice outward. Those that are in your environment, those that you maybe share a home with, they can know what you need from them in order to feel safe and to feel protected. You don't have to keep it so much to yourself, and you don't have to think, I'll do this internal work and then I'll be ready to create comfort and safety. No. You can have it. You just ask. Cohabitate, collaborate. Pluto here is about to station retrograde, so you will be feeling Pluto back in your sign Capricorn, and it will hover at 29 degrees again. So this lesson of rebirth that we're kind of maybe feeling the pressure off a little bit about that, but it will be returning. I think that we're all standing on the precipice, Capricorn. Life won't be the same as it was before, and we don't want it to be the same as it was before. I've had so many readings with folks saying, I'm willing, I can feel it, something's shifting, something's changing. I think maybe this dragon is bringing with it a beautiful message about the shifts and the changes that can occur in your private life and your public life. The version of yourself that you think you need to be, the face that you're keeping, is going to be jolted to a point. And your private life and the serenity and rhythm of that space is going to be jolted as well, for better or worse. But everything that happens in these areas for you, which is kind of, when I think of Capricorn, I do sense the rigidity, and I can only say that because I am a Capricorn sun, so my identity has so much to do and is so involved in Capricorn. And I do find myself clamming up, hunkering down, being stubborn, being rigid in a position that I think is the right one. I'm teaching myself as time goes on that I've got to relax, I've got to allow things to move. Some things I don't have any control over. And it's not I wish to have control over them to be a masthead and to be dominant. It's not like that, but it's like in a life where there's such little control, you felt so out of control. When it comes to reliability and things that you can sort of rely on, you cling on to them, you hold on to them. And this could be a frame of mind, the way that you think about yourself, the way that you consider your position in life, a persona. But I think with this dragon's head moving here and affecting your 10th house, your most public self, your career, and also with Pluto coming back into your first house, we can't think that we aren't able to change. And I don't say this in a judgmental way, Capricorn. I'm not saying to you, you've got to change, you clean up your act. It's not that, but I think what I'm feeling right now is that criticism, that inability. It's like, I can't change. I'm useless. I'm pathetic. I can't move. I'm immovable. I'm stubborn. I'm set in my ways. I'm a crotchety old bastard. That's not true. That's not true. And your 4th house is gone through an immense period of healing, and there's been a lot of wounding, unconsciously or otherwise, that has had an extra salve on it. So go with it. Let the dragon friggin' gobble up whatever it needs to gobble up. Get rid of it, because you're clearing space for the new. We probably won't have so much emphasis on your 4th house in the astrology as we are right now, Capricorn. So make the most of it, I'd say. I want to pull you one card, and I want you to use this tarot card as a talisman over the next period of time. If ever you're feeling in strife or conflicted, then I want you to focus in on the energy of the 10 of Wands. And I feel the exhaustion already in this card. 10 is a culmination of a cycle, and the Wands are magic. And you're trying to make something out of nothing, or you've been trying to push this thing uphill. You feel exhausted, and you feel like you'd much prefer just to sort of gather the flotsam and jetsam, gather the twigs and sticks and build a friggin' bonfire. And throw yourself on it, like, you know what, I'm done with it. I'm over, I'm finished trying. I've had enough trying. And so I want you to feel that feeling. I get it, and I completely understand it. I'm with you on this, Capricorn. But I also want you to recognize that it's actually the end of a cycle. And so we come through a clearing after this. Too much too much focus on one aspect of life, or too much when you feel too responsible for one aspect of your life. And this could be your fourth house. You could feel so responsible for your family lineage. You could feel the pressure of needing to measure up to what was given before, or because you came from nothing, you came from dirt, from poverty, you need to front up and show up and prove yourself, make something of yourself. Whatever, all of that friggin' crap that can come from the 4th and the 10th. That's too much for you to go alone. And so 10 of Wands is the end of a cycle. What's important to recognize is the 10 of Wands, there is no flame. There's no bonfire. There's no pyre that's actually lit. You're not Elvira. So climb off down the crucifix. Somebody needs Oh God, I just choked. That line was sucked back in. I was going to say, climb on, get down off that crucifix. Somebody needs the wood. But I think I was being urged not to say that. If you know Priscilla, then you know that it was coming from good faith. Anyway, Capricorn, I think I need to go. That's your reading for this eclipse. Head to umaruby.com and get your birth chart read by me if you haven't already. You can also throw some money in the tip jar at buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. Oh, I've never been... I think I need to have a little rest. That was full on. I wasn't being sacrilegious. I was being sacrilegious. Okay. Bye, Capricorn. I love you. Don't be scared. Hello Taurus, and welcome to eclipse season. This eclipse is happening on Thursday, April the 20th at 2:16 p.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me. So if you're in the northern, change the time around. I think it's happening on the 19th. This is a hybrid solar eclipse in Aries, and you can see here why. So the sun and the moon are at 29 degrees of Aries. This is the final degree of the sign. The dragon's head, or the north lunar node, is at 4 degrees of Taurus. Now this energy here, this insatiability, this signpost is probably a good way to put it, has been in your first house of the soul for nearly 18 months now. And so it's about to leave. In the ancient days, the lunar nodes, or the points of eclipse, were called the dragon's head and the dragon's tail because the ancients believed that a dragon was eating the sun or eating the moon. And so there was a lot of fear attached to eclipse times. There was a lot of worry about judgment or about a feeling of being reprimanded for your sins or for dishonoring the wants and needs of the gods. Now, I'd put that to you, Taurus, if you believe that still. I don't suspect that we should feel that we're at the mercy of the universe, but I do believe that it's our invitation to recognize how much of our lives are linked up and in sync with what goes on in our stratosphere. It can feel lonely sometimes, can't it? It can feel like such a solitary mission to have the brain that you do, to have the soul that you do, and to do the work that you do, to try as you might, to lift up the spirits of others, to lift up love as being a major principle of life. There's a lot of talk about the Empress and Taurus, isn't there? The Empress card can definitely be a signification of Taurian energy. On a personality level, Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of love and beauty and connectivity. I think that we need to think about Taurus as well in relationship to the Hierophant. This is a sage. This is a bridge. one that has access to spirit and to the outer realms, and that has found some sort of language to translate those messages and to share them with other people. You can see here in this card, there's keys. This person knows the way through. This is you, Taurus. This is your first house of the soul. And I want you to reflect at this eclipse, because we know, and you know very well, that as much as we feel the deluge, or perhaps the shedding that is necessary at eclipse time, if the dragon's head brings with it a deluge, the dragon's tail brings with it a shedding. And so for you, your first house of the self and soul, and your second house of seventh house of relationships have been going through a process over the last 18 months or so of necessary shedding. And there's a lot of pain that is attached to that. There's a lot that can come with that kind of thing. But you're at a point now in this trip around the sun, this lifetime, where those lessons are integrating. The last time that we had eclipses in Aries and in Libra, so for you, this is your 12th house and your 6th house, dreams, reality, unconscious, conscious, spirit land, planet Earth. The last time that there were eclipses here, which is what we're gearing up for the next 18 months, was in 2015. So I want you to cast your mind back to what was showing up for you. I wonder if you've kept dream journals all the way back to 2015. If you'd have, then I admire you, and I'm a little bit jealous. I wish that I have. I have to scrummage through boxes and paintings and check dates to see what was going through my mind all that time ago. But we're going to be coming into a period of time where your 12th house is coming into the deluge. Your access to your ancestry is something that I'm reminded to tell you about here. Past lives, lineage, what is being gifted to you at this time, what information is your dreams telling you that you can bring forward with you and you can state very clearly as a point of truth. You've done such a beautiful job over this last 18 months, Taurus, and I'm exceedingly proud of you. And I think that we can probably look to our Aries rising and our Libra rising friends, and we can guide them through this next bit of time, because as the dragon's head shifts to Aries, the dragon's tail moves down to Libra. Our friends here will be experiencing potentially dark nights of the soul, potentially a shedding of their 7th house of relationships. And so we can crowd around them, we can gather around them and tell them what we know. We can actually be, in some way, this beautiful bridge that the Hierophant represents. This isn't a position of authority, I would say. This isn't a position of dominance, is probably a really good word to say that this card does not represent dominance. The Hierophant is merely a bridge, but a powerful one. If you do channeling work, Taurus, or automatic writing, I'd really encourage you to do more of this at this eclipse. Sometimes the eclipses happening in a 12th house can perhaps be quite destabilizing. There might be fear. There might be intensity to what you dream about, or what visions you see, or what you're hearing, what stitches you're picking up. If this happens, I want you to remember this reading. I want you to remember the Hierophant card, and I want you to breathe into your current conscious awareness, because I think that we can probably look to our 6th house in Libra as a place of comfort. Your health is paramount, Taurus. But this is for everyone, not just you, for every single individual, every sign, every placement. We're stepping through a gateway. We're coming to understand our power. We're coming to understand the power of letting go. We're being met with grief and loss and strife and struggle and pain and hardship. And we can feel the disintegration of old structures that have kept us locked in place for generations. And now is the time that this binary between this and that and the other is finally beginning to disintegrate. The dragon's head and the dragon's tail have so much to teach us about the link between opposites. When we consistently feel separate or make it our mission to divide and separate, as our current authority figures intend to do or have tried to do, we'll go nowhere. It's our job to link between. You're not crazy, you're not deluded, you're not insane, you're not a lunatic, Taurus. You're to be believed. And you're to find folks that you can be yourself around. If you're struggling, you're to find folks that you can talk to about this struggle and that they will honor your vulnerability and work with you, not categorize you. They say that Buddha was born, found enlightenment, and died all when the sun was in Taurus. And that's just something I want you to think about. I find that that story has a great relationship with this Hierophant. Every person that you come into contact with that has messages, that does spiritual work, that does magical work, that you trust in your body, not people that tell you to trust them, not people that tell you that they have the solution or the guiding way. There is no gurus welcome anymore. And in a world where the gurus are popping up and popping up and popping up, and if you pay this, then this will happen. If you do that, then this will happen. Follow my 10-step program and then you'll find enlightenment too. Negative. This card is here to remind you, Taurus, that this figure sits inside of you. This figure indeed sits inside of all of us. This figure has so much to do with your soul's mission in this life. Be your own Hierophant. Sit at your own feet. Listen to your own stories. Stand up for what you believe in. Share it with others. Guide them through. I want to pull you one more card, I think, Taurus, and this is just going to be a talisman, okay? In my experience, eclipse season is beginning already. And so I feel such an urgency to remain calm and present. And I find that the best way for me to do that is to have my own talismans in some way, my own anchor. you got the moon. Trust. Trust, trust, trust your relationship with the moon, Taurus. The moon keeps your secrets. You can tell the moon anything. The moon doesn't judge. The moon encourages us to feel, encourages us to be vulnerable, to open up. So over the next period of time, as we enter through, as we use this final eclipse in Aries, remember a month ago we were saying, brand new way of being. It's the truth. Keep the moon as your guide. Feel into the ebbs and flows of your emotional system as the moon ebbs and flows. You're a kind, good, gentle, loving, sensual, powerful person, Taurus. And I want to congratulate you for your achievements, for living through an eclipse season in your first and your seventh house. We bid a fond farewell to those that had to go. And we are fresh and grounded and ready to welcome in those that are coming. Sweetness in your 12th. Let your dreams comfort you. You've got nothing to fear, nothing to hide. It's natural. All my love to you, Taurus. I'm going to be speaking to you in 2 weeks, and we're going to have our final crescendo, the final hurrah in Scorpio. The dragon's tail will bring with it a final lunar eclipse in your 7th house, and we'll all wave fondly goodbye. Much love to you, my darling. Take care. Hello Virgo, welcome to eclipse season. The Aries hybrid solar eclipse is happening on Thursday, April the 20th at 2:16 p.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me. So hopefully I've got this published with a couple of days grace so we can prepare for it, but maybe just kind of allow it to happen, allow it to show up for us, and to make note of how maybe it's shown up for us. So let's have a look at this chart. So I've drawn a dragon on this chart, and this is to describe the north lunar node and the south lunar node. These aren't cosmic bodies in the universe, but they're points of interception. It's the point that the moon intercepts the Earth's ellipse around the sun. It's how we get lunar eclipses, how we get solar eclipses. The shadow of the Earth cast on the full moon, or the moon itself getting in the way of the sun's light. And so in the ancient days, folks used to believe that a dragon was eating the sun. And so there was a lot of fear that was attached to this time of year. There was a lot of worry. And there was a lot of going over in the mind of like, what have we done wrong to smite the gods? Like how can we be better to as not displease them? In astrology, when there's a solar eclipse, there's almost like an extra deluge of change or information or development that might happen in the house that it affects. So think back to a month ago when I was giving you a pep talk about the 0-degree new moon in Aries. Your 8th house of emotional intensity, of grief and sorrow, of contractual obligation, and also of the way that your resources are intertwined with other folks. This is being highlighted probably by the full moon that we had in Libra 2 weeks ago, which is your second house, your individual worth, your access to resources, how you generate an income and provide for yourself. And so at this point, it's unusual to have 3 lunations in one sign in one go. Sometimes it's called a black moon. I think also sometimes it's called a blue moon. But this is an eclipse that's happening, a hybrid one, because the sun and the moon are so close to that node. They're so close to that, they're intercepting that point. So there's almost like a bridge that's being built between your 8th and your 9th. Taurus rules your 9th, which is where we come into learning about the philosophies of life, where we expand our mind and journey forward and travel into spiritual subconscious stratospheres, where we maybe learn about astrology, or we learn about the tarot, we learn about different schools of thought, of religion and spiritual practice. And so for the last 18 months or so, there's been major moments in that house, and also your 3rd house in Scorpio. Your higher mind, academic reachings, and your area of folk magic, your locale, how you exist in the world. Who do you go to locally for guidance and support? How do you in fact heal other people without even knowing it? That all might have been going through some metamorphosis over this past bit of time. And so there's something that we can sort of learn from that will now enter into our 8th house. There's possibly been lessons about grief that you've been face to face with over this last bit of time, Virgo. And it's stuff that's been sort of full on to process. But you've had the stuff to do it. You've had the stuff to do it. I think that I'd like to think of this bridge, and I've got the Hierophant card here. So this person here, this card represents the Taurian principle, the Taurian essence. There's something about a commitment to the earth, a commitment to the processes of life, a commitment to recognizing and witnessing the changing seasons, the changing effect of the astrology over our emotional ecosystem. And of course, sort of gentility and a kindness too. The word Hierophant closely, directly related to the word hierarchy. It's our responsibility as a generation of consciousness at this point to recognize the damaging effect of spiritual hierarchy and what it's done to folks, how it's marginalized them, how it's hurt them, and to bring that down a step and to not lose our faith, to not bar ourselves up from opportunity to delve a little bit deeper. If we feel that we're spiritual people and we want to follow that candle, then we can. We know when to follow it and when not to. We know who to listen to and who not to. And so these lessons are going to hold us in good company as we move forward, because this dragon is moving into your 8th and your 2nd. Over the next 18 months or so, there's going to be a lot of valuable lessons brought to the fore about, firstly, the disparity between your self-worth and how you feel worthy in relationship, how you feel bound to other people, and also how these two things intertwine as well. Right now, Ceres is in your 1st house, Virgo. You can see this sickle shape here. This is an asteroid, and it's named after the goddess of agriculture. Ceres was the one that taught humanity how to care and tend for the earth. And Ceres was the mother of Persephone, who was stolen by Pluto and dragged to the underworld. And Ceres had to go down to the underworld and make a bargain with Pluto to take back what was rightfully hers, her daughter, to save her daughter. And Pluto, who's right over here, said, yes, you can have her back, but the bargain is I get to have her every year. And so every single year, Ceres would travel down to the underworld to retrieve what was rightfully hers. And so the genesis of winter occurred in this story. And also when we look to the astrology, when we look to a birth chart particularly, we can recognize that Ceres is a commitment to maintaining, a commitment to, when necessary, going down and retrieving what is theirs from the underworld. At this eclipse, Ceres is in direct opposition with Neptune in Pisces, in your 7th house of relationships. So Neptune is the planet that reminds us of the beauty of illusion and magic and majesty and imagination. There's an opposition that's happening with Ceres and this planet. So I wonder if this is sort of like a prelude. It's sort of like, I guess what I'm saying, Virgo, is I really want you to build a strong bridge between yourself and with Pisces in your 7th house over the next 18 months or so. I want you to really safeguard that space. You can check in with your beloveds and witness if they're slipping into delusion. And you can bring them back from whatever brink that you need to. And in doing that, that is making a pact that you will be saved whenever it is that you need to be saved as well. I'm saying all of this because the 8th and the 2nd is us, them, me, the other, just as much as the 1st and the 7th is. But it's how we sort of feel that we're obligated, which shows up in the 8th and the 2nd. How we're obliged, or how we're at the mercy of maybe how our resources are intertwined with other folks, how our emotional core is intertwined with other folks. And so for these eclipses to start in the 9th and the 3rd, and to gently switch over into the 8th and the 2nd, what it is that you've picked up and what it is that's been revealed to you about philosophy and spirituality is going to come into really good use as things switch over to here. This isn't to say that, what was I going to say? This isn't to say it's going to be difficult. How the frick do I know? I don't know. But it feels over the next time, the next 18 months or so, Virgo, it feels like your relationships are going to be put to a miraculous, incredible test. And it'll be up to you to go the distance and to see it through. There's 12 signs in the zodiac. In the esoteric philosophy, there's a belief that eventually there'll be 6, because the integration between polarities will have occurred to a point where there's now only 6 signs. I say this to bring us back together. I say this because union, connection, love, intensity, passion plays out in the 8th house in a sincere way. We make love to other people because we wish to be connected to them. We wish to come together. It's a driving, powerful, mystical, sometimes delusional impulse. And so I feel that as we progress around the zodiac, as we move with this energy, your essence and the essence of the other are going to it could be really beautiful as well. It could be really powerful. But I think that in a world where the language of sort of self-reliance, and you can't rely on anybody except yourself, and you can't, in a world that's so inwardly focused, when we're all sort of looking into ourselves, and when our heart becomes sort of a bit rigid because of things that have happened in the past, or because of vulnerability that was shared before and then rejected in our eyes, or whatever, and also in a culture that's so self-focused, with the consistent camera pointed back on themselves, it can be difficult to relate to other people, or it can be difficult to rely on other people, or feel that your story, your half of the picture, is important enough. Keep your gaze pointed outward, Virgo, and inward. When you look into the eyes of someone, I hope that you see yourself in the reflection of their eyes. I hope that all the love and support and comfort and guidance that you're providing for other people at this time is given back to you. And I think that the eclipses will be a beautiful prelude into witnessing the truth of that. I'm going to pull you one card, Virgo, just as a guide, just as a talisman, a marker point to almost celebrate the beginning of eclipse season in your 8th and your 2nd house. I got the King of Pentacles. I see you in this, Virgo, the master of practical comfort and support. I feel such gentle warmth and a protection in this card. And I feel that if that's something difficult for you to ascertain for yourself, then this card has shown up because this is your guide, that there's an exterior source of love and comfort and guidance that's around you, helping you through, helping you show up for all of the responsibilities you face. The King of Pentacles is you, and it's us too. So allow it in, allow it to be, allow the offer. What am I trying to say? Receive the offer, babe. Receive the offer. You're not alone. Virgo, you're not alone. As difficult as it might be sometimes, and as lonely as it might feel, you're in good company. The King of Pentacles is here to remind you of that. Much love to you, Virgo. I'll be back with you in 2 weeks, and we can discuss the final full moon eclipse in Scorpio. So this is the final hurrah in your 3rd house, your village, your local environment, where you live, and also your access to folk magic, who you're talking to, what lessons are you receiving through language rather than the written word. Take care, my friend. I'll speak to you then. Bye.